Hello, listeners across the world. This is the Christian Authors Podcast, and I'm still your host, Victory.
On today's episode, I'll be joined by Daisy Paige.
That story, like life was far worse for me. Let's just say worse. But our author, our guest speaker on today's episode has gone through a lot of things, and so much that she exudes love, cheer, and even faith in God. And she authored a book which is titled Unexpected Moments. Yeah. I think I get it right. Yes, Unexpected Moments. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we are joined with Daisy Paige. And I want you to stay calm, stay relaxed, because surely God is going to bless you through this section. So you're welcome, Daisy, to the show. I know the audience will be pumped up to know who you are and what is your story. What is your story? What was the backstory behind you writing the book Unexpected Moments? You know, there are times we have moments that we don't expect, but not everybody puts those thoughts into writing and actually publishing the book. So what was the story behind your book, and who are you? Can the audience meet you?
Well, there's a story before the story, I should say. Like you said, I'm Daisy. I'm from Texas in the United States, and my story began before I ever knew it was going to begin. I was only 9 years old, and in church very regularly, a very devoted Christian, knew the Bible from the front to the back by the time I was 10 years old. And I suffered childhood and adult years of major abuse, major sexual, physical, and emotional abuse up until my early 30s, actually. And just last year, I found out that I have a rare terminal neurological disorder known as MSA, or multi-system atrophy. And so the doctor told me there was nothing that they could do for me, basically, than, try to slow the progression and keep me comfortable. And then God came to me and He told me, my child, your time is near, but you must tell your story from the beginning first. And I didn't know how I was going to do that until I met Kirk Cameron. And I met him at one of his, I don't know if you're familiar with whom Kirk Cameron is, but he was a star on TV when I was a teenager, and his TV episode was on for 7 years, and I was a big fan. But he's a very, very, very godly man. He's adopted 4 children. He has 2 of his own. He just goes around the United States spreading God's word. And I met up with him, and I told him about my condition while I was in a wheelchair, and told him that God, told me that He wanted me to share my story, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. And after speaking with him, he said, I think you should write a book. I said, well, I've not written anything but one poem in my whole life. He goes, you are not the writer. God is the writer. Pray for the words. He'll give you the story. And he was so right. The very next day, I prayed, God, give me the words you want me to write and to share it with the world. And the words just started coming out and onto my computer screen. And I just started devoting 2 to 3 hours a day, writing. And Kirk had asked me to keep him updated on the progress of my book writing. And I did so, and whenever I got finished, I started writing in October last year, so my story began actually a year ago today. I started writing, and I kept him updated on how the writing was going, and in January 23rd, I finished writing my book, and by March 7th, it was published and out for sale. God put Kirk in my path, to help me, to show me the way to get my story out to the world. And since it's been published, I've been doing a world book tour, is what I call it, because a world virtual book tour because I'm physically ill and cannot get out and promote my book on my own. I'm able to do it more so virtually because I'm reaching countries like where you are, Victory, and I've been in Australia, I've been in Spain, I would never have been able to do that without the internet, and I'm thankful for that because my story needs to be told. I want to inspire others, and I also want to create awareness for this rare disease so that we can hopefully start working on a cure.
I listened to one of your podcast appearance. Like you said, you are grateful for the internet. In fact, I'm also grateful for the internet because I wouldn't have been able to meet you, and I wouldn't have been able to know any ailments called MSA because I don't have any idea at all. I don't. Remember the last time you sent me the podcast invite, I had to browse about MSA and I was wondering, I said, what is this? I don't think I've ever heard about it. So basically, most of the listeners also wouldn't have heard about this. And in the podcast episode, like I was talking about the other time, you mentioned that you've gone through emotional, sexual abuse. You've literally gone through the most form of abuse we humans know. And I'm so sorry for that. But how were you able to process your thoughts in writing this book without you, without you feeling like I shouldn't share too much? There should be some part of me that I should just keep to myself and not allow the whole world to know. Are you able to share your stories despite what has happened to you in the past?
I saw the book writing as a form of therapy. And I do have a Christian therapist that I see on a weekly basis. Well, we just talk on the phone now, but it was like every time I would get to a difficult chapter in my book or a difficult section, the next day I would have an appointment with her. So God lined it up for me whenever I would have those difficult times to write about. And I felt that those times needed to be told so others know that they're not alone if they're suffering from that abuse and that they don't have to believe that they have to stay in a situation like that. I got out, thankfully. There was times when I almost did or I didn't want to, and there was times when I asked God, why? Why are you putting me through this? What have I done? Why am I being punished? I'm a devoted child of yours. I study your word. That's all I do in my extracurricular time. Why must I be punished? Did something happen down the line in my generations that I'm having to be punished for? And there was times that I tried to take my own life, but there was also times that I almost killed by my abuse. And I made it through that because of the grace of God, because I had Him. And I prayed for Him to help me.
So, and let me just digress. We're grateful for who we are because of the grace of God. But if you've had opportunities to know that this is what you'll be facing in life, would you still have wanted for everything that happened to you to happen to you? Like if you had opportunity to know this is what is ahead of me, would you still have been, or I call it, be so bold enough to say, I want to embrace this aspect. I want to live this life?
That is a great question. And, I could answer that both ways because one way I know that I only went through the things that I did because God wanted me to, for some reason, to, as I'm doing, inspire others and know that He's there for them even in their bad times. But then, too, I would want to be selfish and, have a better life than I did because it was, it wasn't a very good life, and now I'm at the end of it already. So, not much of it was enjoyed, but I know that I've got a lifetime ahead of me that's going to be full of enjoyment.
Right. I love that. I love that confidence and the hope. Yeah, you have a lifetime ahead of you that you'll be able to enjoy. So aside from the podcast and every other thing that you've been able to do, what are the testimonies that this book have harvested? The funniest thing is the podcast list of lineup of guests I have today. Basically, they've suffered, like, you both suffered from grief, and you both suffered from losing something, losing your health, and then being in this state where you have to just find hope and courage in God. But then I want to ask, there have been testimonies from the writing of your book that spur you up to say, maybe those happy moments that someone have just passed a comment and it's something that just lit up your day throughout?
Well, I have to say that since the book has been published, that everyone that I've talked to that's read it or that's posted that they've read it, they tell me what an inspiration that it's been, and I can't hear it enough, because that's what the whole meaning behind it is, and Kirk even says that inspired him, and he's a big Hollywood actor and a Christian man, and I inspired him, so that means a lot to me, I lost a lot. Yes, you're correct. I lost my mother when I was just a baby. I lost my father. He was murdered when I was 20, so I've been without both my parents since I was 20. My dad only got to meet my oldest daughter, and not either one of my younger children, and I'm very proud of the 3 of my children. They're grown, but they have all turned out so amazing, and I couldn't be more proud of them after all they witnessed, while they were growing up, because their father, my ex-husband, he would beat me in front of them to where it looked like someone had been killed or, slaughtered in the kitchen, with blood all over the floor and the refrigerator and just everywhere, and the kids just in the next room, So, yeah, I'm proud of the way my children and what they learn from that, because they treat their significant others with complete respect, which I really adore and admire.
So your life has been a roller coaster of emotions, like from the good to the bad, but then to more good, and that's just life for us. So can you talk about your faith in God? How has it helped you in the writing process, your relationship with God, aside from people that God has placed in your life, like you said, your therapist, your children, and many other people that you have met along the way? So how has your faith in God built you up to where you are right now?
Well, I know, I talk to God and I hear God, but we don't hear God with our ears or inside our head. We hear God with our hearts. And I have spoken with God, from an early age. And He told me at 14 that I was going to have a huge testimony to share one day. And at the time I was like, what? God, I don't have it. What kind of story am I going to tell, But I've always had faith, and that's never really left it. Like I said, I questioned Him a couple of times when things got really bad, but my faith in God my prayers have always been answered, and I've always seen that before my eyes. Like when my husband and I had left, divorced, I prayed, I can barely make the bills, mate. I can barely make the bills. I can't afford to purchase any gifts for my children or clothes or anything that they need. And God provided for me. I got a knock at my door one day, and I opened it, and there was a bicycle and 3 bags just full of clothes and gifts and things for my children. And there's been other times that He's done that too, like I was living in New York, upstate New York, in the mountains one day, and I was going to work, and I was coming home from work actually, and I had an hour and a half drive, and most of it was down a mountain, and it was a very steep mountain. I was always scared because it was snowy, but coming home one day down that mountain, my tire blew out, And all I could do was just pray, here, God, you take the wheel. Just get me there, get me down from this mountain safely. And I was trembling the whole time, but I felt him take that wheel and got me to the bottom of the mountain and pulled me to the side of the road. I just know that he carried me throughout my difficult times. He helped me. He was always there. I could always feel it.
God is always there. Yeah, we can always feel him in every area of our life. All right, that's very, very important. And it's very, very important for authors to have their faith in God, because whatever story you'll be writing, whether it's your personal story or you'll be writing based on the fictional part, you need to have faith in God. Like, if you don't have faith in God, then I don't know what you're doing in Christian writing at all. Even in every area of our life. I mean, you have applied faith in every area of your life aside from writing, right?
Yes,
and it has helped you a lot. So, Mom, what do you have in store? Like, what do you see yourself writing in the future? I remember you saying that you're basically living your last days on earth. So, but before the time comes, like, what do you have in store? What do you wish and you pray ardently that you will be able to achieve before you leave?
Well, Victory, I'm grateful that you mentioned that. I'm almost finished with my second book, and it is called Beyond Heaven's Gates. And since I was diagnosed, I've had, and I know they're visions from God He's given me of heaven, and I'm sharing them with you all, plus just kind of continuing my story where I left off. So I do hope to get this one more book out, and I want people to know, don't take life for granted. I, 6 years ago, I could walk up 11 flights of stairs 3 times a day. I was very active, walked the beach where I lived every day. I did yoga every day, and now I can't even walk, and I can't wash my hair, I can't brush my hair, I can't do those simple tasks that you do on a daily basis. So I just want everyone to be thankful for what they can do, and to thank and praise God every day for those things that they're able to do, because you never know what the next second might hold for you, and you may not be able to do those things anymore. Now, you remember I said the only thing I had ever wrote was a poem? I wrote that poem, and I published it 20 years ago, but I also put that in this book, and if you don't mind, I would like to read that poem.
Yeah, please read it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind at all.
Okay, it's called Eternal Love. Endless days, sleepless nights, as we go through our constant fights. Do we really get what we see, or is it totally up to me? Struggling through our trying times, burdened by the price of crimes. Truly, as each day ends, know that God is your only friend. As footprints in the sand did say, He really carries us all the way. Know this, for it is up to you. He already knows what you should do. Find your faith from heaven above, then you will have eternal love.
Oh, such a beautiful poem. What was the inspiration behind the poem? As of that time, I don't think you don't know that this was going to happen. You didn't know at all.
Those words just came to me one day, and I just put them on his paper. And I turned it in online to poetry.com, and they published it. I did not, besides from what God told me when I was 14, but I was going through a very difficult time. I had just divorced my husband and had been released I was in the military for a very short time because I was injured in basic training. So I had just been released from that, and I thought, I was like, what am I going to do? How can I get a life where I can actually provide for my children, Lord? I want to be a mom that they can be thankful for. And these words just start, coming in my head one day, and I put them on a piece of paper, and I thought, wow, that's a beautiful poem. And I wanted to get it published. And I know if I could write, like, I didn't know I could write a book, but I thought, hey, I wrote a poem, it got published. If God helps me with this, I can actually make a book come out. I can write a book. I just need God's help to give me the word. Like He did the poem.
Yeah. And God did.
Yes, He did.
He did.
And I'm very proud of this work and the internet for helping me spread it worldwide.
God is good.
He is.
Even in unexpected moments, is good.
That is the whole meaning of the purpose of the name of the book, is because every moment in life is unexpected. You don't know what the next moment holds. So, you're living an unexpected moment every minute of your life.
So what's your favorite chapter of the book? Perhaps one that gives you joy and gives you calmness, I don't know, of your book. What's your favorite chapter?
I would say that is my younger days. Just being a child and being innocent. And I have a stepmom, and she's still around even though my dad isn't. I still think of her as a mother because I was a young child when she was with my dad. I found out she wasn't my real mom until I was 9 years old. So I would say going back before I knew that she was my stepmom, knowing that she was my real mom, or thinking that she was my real mom. And the only thing that I would say that I wish I could have done differently is there was times during my childhood abuse where my father was, he was told about my abuse, but he didn't believe me. And that was after I tried to commit suicide. And the therapist told him, she's being abused. It's not in her head. She's a child. She couldn't make this kind of stuff up, But he couldn't believe me, and he never told my stepmother. So the thing that I would do differently is I would tell her and have her support. Because she says now, she just found out 2 years ago, and she says if I would have told her and came to her, I would have gotten her support, and my life would have been completely different. Because I did have a very depressing teenage, adolescent years.
I wish you would be able to do that. I pray you'll be able to do that.
Well, I know when I get to heaven, I'm going to be with my real mom. I've already had these glimpses of heaven, and that's where Beyond Heaven's Gates come from. And heaven is a beautiful, undescribable, wonderful place, and I cannot wait to be there permanently.
I could literally picture you smiling right now.
I am smiling very big.
I'm smiling. And I'm smiling with you. So while we wrap up this interview, I want you to tell us how we can purchase your book, and perhaps you will just let the audience know what MSA is all about, and how have you been able to keep on drawing awareness to this, especially in your country? Because I don't know whether it's in my country, because I can't see. But then, just for us to be informed.
Sure. Well, MSA is called multi-system atrophy. It's a rare degenerative neurological disorder, and it affects your body's autonomic function, like your blood pressure, your breathing, bladder functions, and your motor control. It kind of shares like a Parkinson's disease symptoms, such as slow movements, and poor balance. And that's what happened with me. First, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's by 2 different doctors, and I started, falling a lot, and I would bust my head open from falls, or I would drop things, and just have a very lack of coordination. But treatment just includes medications and lifestyle changes to help manage the symptoms, but there's no cure. And so the condition will just progress gradually, and eventually it leads to death because your brain can't tell you to breathe anymore, and you stop breathing, or your blood pressure drops. And I've had my blood pressure be as low as 68/52, so that's been very low. And things like that happen, where the blood pressure drops and people just go into cardiac arrest or whatever. But I've put in my advanced directives. I don't know if you know what that is in your country, but where I don't want to be resuscitated. So once I go, I want them just to leave me. Once I stop, my heart stops, don't do CPR, don't bring me back. Just let me go.
And in all these moments, God is good.
Yes.
Now, have there been times maybe when you were writing the book, you had to just stop for a while because of maybe you had to just go for a checkup and you had to just stop doing some certain things for a while? And how were you able to bounce back?
Sometimes, when I have bad moments, they don't last very long. Or I have my husband, who's right now, we've been married for 12 years, but he's very 100% supportive, and he takes care of me totally. I'm so reliable on him. If I couldn't type it, I would tell him what to type, so he would write my story for me. I just look forward to being home with my family that's gone before me. I lost twin babies, and I saw them in my visions. So getting to be with them again, that will be so amazing. And let me tell you, the food up there is so good, and you can eat as much as you want to, and you don't get full.
Yeah. They ask me, why are you going to heaven? I'll say, because I want to go and eat there.
Right.
Yeah,
well, it's just eating. It's just for pleasure there. You don't have to eat. You just eat for pleasure.
Yeah, but those childish memories, you just formed it up in your mind and just to laugh over it. Yeah.
Yes, you can find me on Facebook as Daisy Paige, author, and on that Facebook page is my link to my book. Or you can go to unexpected-moments.com, and there's my book too. And if you have questions for me, as a listener, from your show, you can always contact me through my website, and it is me. I will respond to you and be happy to connect with you.
Yeah. Wow. God is doing great things with you. I can't wait to have you back on the show when you publish your new book. Should we be expecting that this year or the next?
I am doing my best. I'm going to publish it myself, so I've already got the cover done, and it's just a short story, so you should. I'm wanting it out before Christmas because I believe that Christian books, I don't know why, but they seem much more popular, around Christmas than Easter. So I want it to be out before Christmas. I want it to be able to be gifted, people to give for gifts for Christmas. So,
oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. So I would definitely want to have you back on the show. Yeah.
I would love that.
All right. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Are there any words of encouragement you would like to give to the listeners that are listening right now?
Yes, like I said before, don't take your life for granted, even the simple things in your day. Live your life day by day and be thankful for every moment of it. And be happy if you can. As happy as you can be, and keep God in your life.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that encouraging advice.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Victoria. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad we're able to do this. All right, to listeners across the world, I still remain your host, Victory, and you're just listening to the interview with the author of the book, Unexpected Moments. So if you love listening to this interview, please do well to buy a book and show some love to people around you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Bye. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do well to like, share, and also subscribe. And the platform you're listening to now. It's going to give me such great joy to know that you have enjoyed listening to the conversation with the guest author. Till another time, I remain your host, Victory. For further inquiries, you can send me an email at thechristianauthorspodcast@gmail.com. Also, you can visit my website at podcast.dachiva.com. Every relevant link will be included in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a lovely day. Bye.